Hello and welcome to part 4 of High Performance Imports V2 commentary. This is just a little drift meeting I went to at Mobara Twin Circuit, which is down in Chiba. To be honest, I can't remember how I got there, whether I took a train and a taxi or if I hired a car. Might have hired a car. The way I used to find events like this back then is I bought a couple of different Japanese car magazines like Option, Rev Speed, Carboy, and some of those would actually have listings of events that were coming up in the next 6 months, club meetings and that sort of thing. So when I was working out a trip to Japan, I'd find as many things as I could to go and have a look at. This was just a local drift club called Pro Cruise, but despite the name, it's really just sort of beginner level drifting. But back in 2001, you saw a lot more of that than you did pro stuff.
The Mobara Twin Circuit is a very tight track in the Chiba prefecture, which is very popular for drift events. At a judge drift meeting, points are awarded for style, speed and how long you can keep the car sideways. Ideally, you should keep the car sideways permanently, linking the corners together in one long drift. It's a bit of a strange sport really, but it's very popular in Japan.
I don't think it was actually a judged event at all. I think it was just a club practice day. I don't remember them doing any actual judged runs. People were just going out in groups, sort of 10 to 15 cars at a time. It's a reasonable sized track, and there's a second one next to it, hence twin, although I think the second one is mainly used for go-karting. That's just the impression I got when I was there.
This meeting had 25 cars drifting in two groups, often very close together. There are a couple of flag marshals, but mostly it's up to the drivers to look out for each other.
Most of the number plates on these cars are actually cheaper plates, so they're all pretty local drivers.
It was a surprise to see this GTR in one of the drift groups. The paint is a combination of Mazura colour flip and big coloured metallic flakes. Set up for rear-wheel drive only, it uses the original RB26 with some bolt-on upgrades like the big truss intercooler. His buddy is driving what's known as a Sill 80. This is a 180SX with a Sylvia nose. The colour is another custom mix with big glitter flakes.
It was a pretty popular thing to do back then, making a Sill 80 or going the other way and making a 1-via with a 180SX front and a Sylvia back. Very easy to do. The panels from the A-pillar forward are pretty much interchangeable. You just have to muck around with the lights, obviously, if you're doing a 180 front. Nissan did briefly release a Sill 80. It was right at the end of the 180SX model life. I think they only did a couple of hundred of them. And I've only ever seen them in pictures. I don't think I've seen a genuine one at a track.
It has a Power Enterprise turbo kit and many other bolt-on mods. Inside there's a 7-point roll cage and various other braces to help chassis rigidity. Unfortunately, they don't stop the car spinning.
one of the giveaways of a club meeting, like a lower level club meeting, is you'll see them going out with rear wheels that don't match the front, and they've usually got cheap second-hand tyres on them, sometimes only 15 or 16 inch, which obviously is a cheap way to go drifting. The problem with that, though, is you don't have a lot of rear grip, and it's a lot harder to avoid spinning.
The GTR driver shows more control despite the extra weight of the Skyline. This R32 is a 4-door GTST using a highly modified RB20 engine. The HKS turbo is mounted on a wrapped stainless manifold, while the bottom end has been stroked to 2.3 litres.
It was a popular thing to do before RB25s became more readily available. There were a couple of different kits around. There was a 2.3, Tomei did a 2.4. I know the Tomei one used special pistons, which were, I think, a couple of mil over bore, and then you used an RB26 GTR crank and rods, and the pistons were designed to work with the different deck height and all of that. One advantage of doing it that way is that you can still get the car registered, because if you have an engine swap in Japan, I think that becomes a problem when you go to get your chuck in the registration. Obviously, also it gives you a bit more bottom end torque, and the GTR crank and rods are stronger than what the RB20 came with.
This Sylvia is more traditional, using only bolt-on mods to the SR20, and an exhaust that goes sideways, like the car.
As usual, I was filming this all by myself, so I had a fixed camera on a tripod on this corner, which is the last one, and I had another one up on the hill at the first corner, and then I was just running around trying to find good places to film from.
This Gold FC RX-7 is worth a closer look. It uses a large truss T7829D turbo and trussed intercooler setup with neat polished pipework. The clean bodywork also suggests the driver is confident about not crashing.
Those are pretty rare wheels there. The SSR reverse mesh, which aren't that rare, but they're rare in a 5-stud. In case you're wondering, the reason they're called reverse mesh is when you mount a tyre on them, you actually have to put them on the machine with the face of the wheel down, because the hump in the wheel is on the inside edge rather than being on the outside edge. That's how they get that nice flat deep lip on the front of the wheel.
This white FC RX-7 also has a large HKS turbo kit, but the engine bay is not so pretty. Zip ties are regularly used to repair smashed spoilers. This is a fake S15 nose fitted to an older 180SX. These front-end swaps usually come about after a major crash.
I remember when the S15 nose kits for S13 first came out, and they used to call them strawberry face. The reason for that is the word for strawberry in Japanese is ichigo, and ichigo means 1.5 as in S15. You could get them for S14 as well. This music is just some royalty-free stuff I downloaded back in the day. It was royalty-free in the sense that you paid to use it in the first place, but after that there were no more charges, no matter how many copies you made. But basically I would use it just to fill in a bit of time, to be honest. If you notice, that guy in the white S14 spins out almost every time he goes into that corner. This guy in the AE86 was probably one of the better drivers there on the day. That's a Torino, or in Japan they pronounce it Torino, which basically means it's got the pop-up headlights. You can have a Torino in either a hatch or a notchback, and the same goes for the Levin. They came in a hatch or a notchback, but the difference between Levin and Torino is just the pop-up headlights, and also they were a higher trim spec, I believe.
Sooner or later, a tyre has to let go.